up, everybody? I am driving to work. My name's Devon, and first gotta say what up to my two friends today coming to work with me. Here we go, Ludwig. There's the Schnauzer, and then we got American Eskimo back there. I don't know if he's in the camera, but I'm looking at the road. Ludwig, Grace, there we go. You know, it's a damn zoo around here. I'm going to work, and there's something I want to talk about, and that is the newest Waking Up podcast with Sam Harris. And he had a guy on named Preet, Bharara, who was the Attorney General, and he was just a career government lawyer for his career. And I want to talk about it, and I just didn't think it was a very good podcast at all. And you know what? To me, if you're Sam Harris, that's almost unpostable. I'll get into my reasons why. First, let's start out. Who's Preet Bharara? Well, actually, I've done one of these before on Sam Harris, and I just kind of like the show in general. So I must say that. But Preet Bharara, who's that? Attorney General. The only reason I knew about him was because he took away online poker, and that was just complete BS out of nowhere. And then at the beginning of the episode, Sam asks his resume kind of thing, and he didn't even mention online poker. Doesn't even put it on his resume. Screwed up everyone's lives. I mean, I was a professional poker player for a long time until April 2011. Screwed up so many people's lives. No questions. Just. And then he took away online poker, and he didn't even mention it. And the fact that he just did that on a whim, it seems, it makes it a little bit more annoying. So I'm just saying right off the bat, I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy at all. He was just way too strict. Of course, it said that in the law with online poker. He was just way too strict. So he's one of those kind of guys. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. And he comes on Sam Harris, and Sam Harris, you know, it just wasn't very interesting. All they did was talk about Trump, and of course, because he's like a lawyer, and he's the type of person that would be prosecuting somebody like Trump had he done something wrong, either with colluding or whatever it is. So you're gonna ask him questions about Trump. That's what the conversation was about. It was only an hour, and maybe this was Sam's fault, and they went kind of broad, and Sam kind of hit a whole bunch of topics at one time, and that might have been his fault, because they only had an hour, but they didn't actually dig into anything interesting, and it was actually quite boring. And they actually just did the exact thing that put Trump into office. They sat there for an hour, and they just articulated what Trump was doing. So, you know, you have all hundreds of thousands of people probably downloading this by the end, and by the end you just have hundreds of thousands of people listening to people talk about Trump for an hour. Trump benefits by that. That's how he won. It's because he understands media. The only common denominator with Trump is that he's trying to make headlines. Just think to yourself, what would I do if I was trying to make headlines? You know, we'll probably pay off this porn star a week before the election. That's the only common denominator that explains every decision for the last 2 years, ever since he went down that escalator. I'm trying to make headlines. And then they had a whole conversation in which they never mentioned the media in kind of a self-reflective way while they were themselves making media, and then just kind of in the end helping Trump. I mean, I don't like Trump at all. He scares me, and I hate him actually. But we have to realize that he's doing something right. And he's getting people like Sam Harris who are well-intentioned to talk about Trump and just give him free airtime. And Sam has got to either get out of the game or don't be part of the problem. You're gonna get Preet Bharara on, and you're just gonna ask him you're not gonna say anything interesting. I mean, right off the bat, let's just start right off the bat. He started talking about anyway, right? What did they say? He had his resume, and then they started talking about Trump. And then, if a guy came from Mars, what would he think? And then they just kind of repeated the same thing we've heard for 2 years, but just in a new way. It's kind of everyone that says, oh, what do you think about Trump? What do you see about what he does? You know, they're just telling you in a lens that's just a little bit different, but it doesn't change anything. And where they could have actually done something interesting, where well, can you just write anything you want on Twitter? I mean, you're an attorney general. You know what lying is. You know what misleading. You know what is going on with Twitter. Can you just write anything you want? Because it seems as if some people can get away with it. Trump being one of them. What about attacking people? They could have gone with just the media thing, or they should have just gone with something. And then, you know, they talked about Russia too, and it was just very boring. I would give it, I mean, what else did they talk about? Trump, then they went through Paul Manafort, and then and then they talked about Gates a little bit, and then it's okay, well, if you did any kind of research on these people, you would realize Paul Manafort is is, one, he would be considered the swamp, and two, he's the shadiest guy on the planet, and he's somewhat, he's unsophisticated, if you ask me. He's in, like, they're two different kinds of people compared to, like, let's say, Jared Kushner. So, like, the two things that people need to talk about when they're talking about Trump is, one, media, and how Trump uses media, and that's why he can do what he does, and that's why he can, quote, lie, as if you guys say it, and two, Jared Kushner, who is obviously kind of the mastermind here, and he just runs out Trump because he just loves doing it anyway. But they didn't talk about either. They just kind of, like, they didn't talk about either. They just repeated what Trump did for, like, the last 2 years. What else? I mean, there was so nothing of value in this podcast. Sam, I love you. And even Manafort, now I kind of get his personality a little bit more, but there's nothing between the lines, no reading between the lines. It was just two people saying what they've done and just acting about how amazed they are, which actually just empowers Trump. So Sam, I hate to say it, you are one step behind the ball on Trump. And yes, it is crazy, and everything you're saying is correct, but Trump knows that. Like, everyone likes to, and even this guy goes, I don't want to be an armchair psychologist, as if Trump doesn't know exactly what he's doing. It's so surprising. He won the presidency on 1/3 the money, with no political experience, and you guys still act as if he doesn't know exactly what he's doing. And you're just like, it's like every single time, and people forget that, like, it's new media, and that now all of a sudden we're all making media, just like you, Sam Harris, and you have your own little studio, your little podcast studio, and it's almost as if Trump just walked in and made an outline for you. And this is the same alliteration you used back in, like, 2008 at the AAI meeting about atheists. It's almost as if Trump walked into your podcast studio and just put a line on the ground for you, and then for Preet, jackass that took away online poker, and you guys just laid down in it. And you went for an hour just laying down in the chalk outline that Trump has set for you and all of us. Well, not us, the media. He set it for the media. And he's obviously manipulating media, and he found a hole in our system. Anyway, let's just talk about other stuff like that everyone else talks about. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of Sam Harris, and I can't imagine I listened to every single one of his podcasts from the very first one back in, like, 2014. Maybe it's 2013, but this might be the first one in which nothing interesting was said the whole entire time. Now, Sam, I know that you think that you need to talk about Trump because you have a little bit of a platform. Well, you got a big platform, and people want to hear what you have to say about stuff. I understand that people want to hear what you have to say about Trump. When you were on that Joe Rogan show talking about Trump, and it was like kind of the first time you kind of let loose with your thoughts, it was so good. It was very interesting, and that's when you had the joke about Nicki Minaj and just get away with it, and that was good. It was fresh. You never progressed past that, Sam Harris. You never progressed past that. Then you get political guys on the show doing one of your things, and they start talking about interesting stuff, and then you cut them off. And that happened in Washington, D.C., where you got the drunkest crowd. And then actually we're talking to, Trump's pretty interesting. They're talking about it. They're disagreeing. There's meat on the bone for them to talk about. And then you cut it off. Well, but actually you cut it off. Yeah, didn't you cut it off? Anyway, I thought that one, you left some meat on the bone in terms of Trump. And then when it's your turn on Trump, you just leave it. Anyway, Sam Harris, I'm a little not disappointed, but before you start every podcast, just say this, like, write down on a piece of paper, what's a question or an answer, say something interesting. Make sure you say something interesting. And I can't believe I'm saying this about Sam Harris, who might be the most interesting person on the planet, but even he can go for an hour and just yarn and laugh under his breath at something that's happening right in front of our eyes that Sam Harris is actually complicit in without knowing it. Anyway, just remember, Sam, if don't walk to the chalk outline that Trump set for the media. I'm getting close to 10 minutes. I actually didn't say anything about, what else did they talk about? They didn't mention online poker. What else did they talk about? They said Trump, they can't believe what's going on, he lies. What do you do with somebody that's lying? They talked about, Russia. Well, I mean, of course Russia was trying to do it. What else did they talk about? There's nothing interesting. And you know what, people? Just on your own time, just Wikipedia and just study just a tiny bit. Manafort, Gates, all the people that Trump is hiring and firing instantly. All the people that Trump is hiring and firing instantly. Just kind of take a look under the sheets, and you're going to find that Kushner, who is in the top 1% of intellectual class and money, he is like a true 1%er, and he comes from Orthodox Jewish people. And then take a look at his bio and like who he is and how smart he is compared to Paul Manafort, and you'll obviously know that these people, Trump, Jared, Ivanka, Trump, they're bringing these people in for a reason, and they're firing them fast because it's a little bit of misdirection. And it is just so interesting to me that Jared Kushner is obviously the person doing this, and he's so smart that he was able to get the far right wing to vote for an Orthodox Jew into power. Him. That's how smart he is. And in the end, it's like, what's the biggest troll of them all? And I like to say Trump for a little while. I love to say Trump for a little while, but honestly, Jared Kushner is the biggest, he's the king troll right here. And he got the right wing to vote for an Orthodox Jew into power. Like, that is their worst nightmare. They even hate that idea worse than black people. And Jared Kushner has already done that. So people, if you want to talk about Trump, talk about media, talk about Jared Kushner, don't repeat what he does or you're just feeding the trolls. Okay, thanks for listening, and I don't know if this one made sense. Okay, bye.